Hi, it's Mo. It is Wednesday, June 10th. Guardian has put out their next list of 100 greatest books. This is readers' top 100 novels of all time. The last list that we looked at was just literature, and it was chosen by critics and authors and other people in the writing sphere, in the book sphere. Readers, but not just everyday readers. This list says, after critics and authors pick their top 100 novels, we asked for your favorites. More than 3,000 readers cast their votes. Here's your list, topped by a new number 1. When I did the video for the first Guardian list, I had looked at it already. I had watched people's videos on it already. This time I didn't watch anybody's videos, but I did see that Aaron Read a Book, or Aaron Read a Book, did do a video on this list already, so I will be watching that after I look at the list. I think it's bizarre that they originally said literature and now they're saying novels, because I think one of the issues that Aaron Facer had with the original list was that some of the books weren't necessarily novels. I didn't have that problem because it said literature. I'm going to go through the list. I'm going to talk about if I've read the books, if I own the books on my TBR, or if I'm interested or absolutely not interested in books, because there were a lot on the last list, especially because there were a lot of classics that I was not interested in. The formatting on this is so weird. The formatting on the other list was super annoying and weird because, as you will have seen if you watched that video, you had to like hover over the book to see more information about it. In this one, it's done like 100 and then it's equals 93. Like, it's so weird. Number 100, A Dance to the Music of Time by Anthony Powell. I have never read that. I don't know what it is. There's a cute little quote from a person who voted for this book along with the name, the title, and the author of this book. And then it says equal 93. That like doesn't make any sense. What a terrible, terrible formatting. A Little Life. So I am not interested in A Little Life, but I am interested in some of Hanya Yanagihara's other works. All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I'm also not interested in this one. 99, 98, 97 is Animal Farm by George Orwell. I'm pretty sure that I do own a copy of this. 96 is Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. So we saw a Gabriel Garcia Marquez on the other list, but it was not this one. Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf is 95, which I've read. That was much higher up on the other list, if I recall correctly. And I think this is the first one off of this list that was on both lists so far. Of Human Bondage by William Somerset Maugham. I am interested in a few Maugham books, but not particularly that one. The Magnus by John Fowles. Not really interested in. Not enough to go on my not interested list. Absalom, I actually do have on my TBR. This is by William Faulkner. I think I got a copy of this from my dad when he was giving away books, and I thought I would just keep it. Dune by Frank Herbert. There were definitely a very large lack in the other list of genre fiction in general, but specifically sci-fi. For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. I can't remember if that was on the list. There was some Hemingway on the other list. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is by Susanna Clarke, and this is a very beloved book, but not one that I'm super interested in. It's very, very long. Memoirs of Hadrian by Margaret Yourcenar. I've never heard of this. I don't know what that book is about. Tess of the D'Aubervilles, Thomas Hardy. There were quite a few Thomas Hardy on the other list. The Life and Opinions of Tristan Shandy Gentleman. Now, this was on the other list, and I didn't know anything about what it was about. I've looked it up since then, and I guess it's funny, so I am kind of interested in that one. Number 85 is The Name of the Rose by Umberto Eco. I am interested in this one. It's really long, though. But this is one that I kind of half expected to see on the other list. And this is a little bit more genre fiction because this is a murder mystery, I believe. But like a very literary fiction murder mystery. The Picture of Dorian Gray, I have read by Oscar Wilde. And I was kind of surprised not to see that one on the other list just because it's a queer work and it's classic and it's a little bit genre fiction. The Plague by Albert Camus is one that I think we actually technically do have, but I'm definitely not going to be reading that one. The Red and the Black by Stanghall. I've never heard of that. Number 81 is The Road. That was on the other list. Not interested in that. And then number 80 is The Stand by Stephen King. Not interested in that. Although we might probably own a copy somewhere in the house because my husband does like Stephen King. I would assume that we're going to see other Stephen Kings on this list, I would guess. Number 79 is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This one I think doesn't really deserve to be here. I mean, I know it's a classic of sci-fi, but like, I think the problematic elements of this book should outweigh the reason for it to be on this list. And we have a lot of dystopian fiction. I mean, not a lot. We've already had one dystopian fiction, so like Brideshead Revisited is number 78 by Evelyn Waugh. I love this book. This is like an anti-war book, also a dark academia book, also a queer book. So already I feel like we've seen a few more queer books on here. I did really enjoy Brideshead Revisited. I don't know why, but I get Brideshead Revisited and Howard's End. I think because I read them kind of at the same time, a little bit confused in my mind. Howard's End was on the other list. Brideshead was not. The Old Man and the Sea by Ernest Hemingway I have read and is on this list. This was not a Hemingway that was on the other list. The Sun Also Rises, I think, was the Hemingway that was on the other list, and that is number 74 on this list, and this is not one that I'm super interested in. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy by John le Carre. That's an interesting one to be on this list. I have not read that. I'm kind of interested in it. It's definitely genre fiction, and it's a style of genre fiction that was not on the other list at all. On the Road, which I have read, by Jack Kerouac. I was surprised that there wasn't a Jack Kerouac on the other list, just because I feel like a lot of people in their young adulthoods read Jack Kerouac, probably especially Americans and English people, and it probably is very influential on them at the time. The Unbearable Lightness of Being by Milan Kundera. This has a quote from someone from New Jersey. Joshua Tanzer, Hoboken, New Jersey says, "I've read it 3 times at 3 different ages and felt 3 different ways about it. It gives you so much to think about love and relationships. You live with every page." I'm not really interested in that one, but interesting. Number 73 is another Susanna Clarke, which is Piranesi. I'm really surprised that Mr. Norrell is lower on the list, higher on the list than Piranesi. I would have thought that Piranesi would have been a higher number and less close to the end, and I would have thought it would have been the opposite. I love Piranesi. I read that one not too long ago and I really enjoyed it. The Dispossessed by Ursula K. Le Guin. I have a bunch of other Ursula K. Le Guins on my TBR, but I would be interested in reading this one. To the Lighthouse is our next Virginia Woolf. I have not read this, but it is on my TBR. That's number 70. Number 69 is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. I mean, I think this one hit a note with a lot of people, and I think that it probably is telling a story that a lot of these other books aren't telling, and obviously this list is trending way more to the modern than the other list was, but I think this is recency bias. Germinal by Amelia Zola, I have never read. I'm not really interested in Amelia Zola, but really well-loved, well-renowned writer. Madame Bovary by Gustave Lambert was on the other list. I haven't read it. I'm not interested in it. 65, 66. So number 66 is The Napoleon Quartet by Elena Ferrante. In our last list, it was like in the top 10, My Brilliant Friend, or top 20, I think. It was just My Brilliant Friend, the first of the quartet. And I remember saying in that video that I think it should be the whole quartet because those 4 books tell one big long story, one epic, lifelong, cradle to grave story of these friends. So I'm glad to see that the whole quartet is on this list. Next we have Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This was on the last list as well. Glad to see genre fiction. Glad to see like the hint of queerness kind of coming into this. Love that book. The Outsider by Albert Camus. Was Camus on the other list at all? I don't think it was. I think we do have this on the bookcase, but Albert Camus is not really my thing. I'm pretty sure those are my husband's. The Tin Drum by Günter Grass. What does this person say about it? Grass was the first novelist to poke fun at the Nazis through brilliantly conceived main character, a dwarf named Oscar, a pageant, a circus, a pilgrimage, a battle, and so much more. Wow. Okay, well that sounds amazing. I do not have this book, but I do have other works by Günter Grass. These are translated works, translated from the German. We haven't had a ton of translated work on this list yet. Flaubert, sure. Number 62 is Midnight's Children by Salman Rushdie. This was on the other list. Number 61 is A Gentleman in Moscow by Amar Tolls. I haven't read Midnight's Children. I haven't read A Gentleman in Moscow. I know that everybody loves Amar Tolls, but I am not interested in that at all. Number 60 is Possession by A.S. Byatt. People really like this book. I really don't know what it's about. I haven't read it, and I don't think we had any A.S. Byatt on the other list. Number 57 is 2666 by Roberto Bolaño, or 2666. I have read one other Roberto Bolaño, which I enjoyed. I have a couple more on my TBR. This one is incredibly long and dense, although it is supposed to be, what's the word, like captivating or all-encompassing, like you get lost in this novel, so I am kind of interested in this one. Cloud Atlas by David Mitchell is a very well-loved, I think kind of surrealist book. I have never read it. I'm not really interested in that one. Number 57 is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. This was on the other list, and this is one that I've read. I enjoyed it. Number 56 is Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks. I don't know what that one is. I don't know what it's about. I've never read it. Number 55 is Emma by Jane Austen. So there's our first Jane Austen. I think this is probably around the same place as the other list that we got Jane Austen. They definitely were on the lower end, the more loved end of the spectrum. Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This was one that I was a little bit surprised not to see on the other list because, again, this is a book that people just absolutely adore. It's very long, it's epic, it's, you know, adventure and all sorts of different things from what I can tell. I've never read it and I'm not really interested in it, but I do have other Larry McMurtry on my TBR. The God of Small Things by Arundhati Roy was on the other one. This is one that I am interested in, but I don't think I put it on my other list as interested, but I am pretty interested in that. The Magic Mountain by Thomas Mann comes in at number 52, which I do believe was also on the other list. There was a couple of Thomas Manns. Number 51 is A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. There was a lot of Dickens on the other list, and I don't think this is one of them. I really have no interest in Dickens in general, just the same way that I have no interest in Jane Austen. So we can just put their whole oeuvre on the not interested list. Atonement by Ian McEwan. Now, I can't remember if this was on the other list or not. I think it wasn't, but I think I saw someone say that they thought it should be. I've only read one Ian McEwan, and he did not blow me away, so I don't know if I would put it on a list of the top 100 novels. Then we have another Charles Dickens, David Copperfield. This also, I don't think was on the other list. Well, maybe it was. There was a bunch of Dickens, but not necessarily the ones that I expected to see. Number 48 is Lolita by Vladimir Nabokov. That was on the other list. I think probably in a kind of similar placement as it is on this one. I have read that one, and despite it being very difficult, I do love it. And then, oh my god, number 45 is The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. I'm so shocked and happy that this made it to the list. This is my all-time favorite book. It's by Douglas Adams. I'm glad that they didn't put the whole trilogy of 5 books on this list because I don't think that this is one that you have to read all together. You can just read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy on its own. I'm so happy that it's on here. I'm glad that, like, the masses, the people have spoken and they love Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Number 46 is Watership Down. I think I have read Watership Down a long time ago. Do I own it? I don't even know. I'm not going to put it on my read list because if I did read it, it was so long ago. Number 45 is A Fine Balance by Rohinton Mystery. This was on the other list. This is an epic family saga, and people really love this book. I have not read it. A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. I have heard of. I believe this is another Indian novel, just like A Fine Balance is. But I'm surprised this one made it so far up the list. At 44, Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. That one was on the other list as well. The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. That one was on the list as well. I am interested in reading Heart of Darkness, and I have it on my TBR. I am not interested in reading The Handmaid's Tale or any Margaret Atwood, really. The Secret History by Donna Tartt. This is one that I really thought was going to be on that other list, but it wasn't. I'm vaguely interested in this, but I don't own it, and I've never read it. Number 40 is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. I have read this one, and it was on the other list, and I think it deserves to be here. It's a mastery of genre fiction and a classic for sure. Stoner by John Williams. I have not read, but people love, love, love this book. It's a cradle to grave story, and I think it's kind of depressing actually, but I do own a couple copies of it actually as NYRB books, and I want to read it soon. I probably will read this one before the year is out. That's number 39. Number 38 is A Prayer for Owen Meany by John Irving. I believe this one was on the other list as well. I haven't read it. The Catcher in the Rye is number 37 by J.D. Salinger. I have read this one. I think I mentioned this in my other video that I thought this would be on here because people love it so much. Number 36 is The Count of Monte Cristo. That's interesting because this is double credited by Alexander Dumas and Augusta Marquette. I've never seen that. I've never seen it be double credited for two authors. This is a translated work and a work by a Black author. We have not had a ton of works by people of color on this list so far. I'm not interested in The Count of Monte Cristo, but I am interested in other Alec Dumas work. And was this one on the other list? I can't remember. Confederacy of Dunces by John Kennedy Toole. I absolutely 100% am not interested in. I did own a copy of this for a while because a friend of mine growing up really liked this book, but I feel like this is one that I would hate. I don't know why exactly, but I think I would. Number 34 is Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. I feel the same way about this. I feel like this is a book that men really like and that young men really like, but I feel like this is a book that I will never read, and for some reason holds no interest for me. Number 33 is The Master and Margarita by Bulgakov. This one was on the other list. This one is one that I've read, is one that I really like. It does hold a special place in my heart for some reason. The Poisonwood Bible by Barbara Kingsolver. Two Barbara Kingsolvers on this list. Very interesting. I have read one Barbara Kingsolver, which was The Bean Trees. It's definitely not her most notable work, but I did really enjoy it. The Poisonwood Bible is the one that I would think would stand the test of time and that people would really, really love. I feel like readers of a certain age and literary fiction readers specifically have all read this book and really enjoyed it. I have never read this one. I probably won't read this one because it's like an epic family saga, which is not my thing, but I'm kind of glad to see it on here. The Remains of the Day by Kazuo Ishiguro was on the other list. I have not read this, but I do own it. That is number 31. Number 30 is The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I probably do own a copy of this book. This is definitely an American classic. I could see why it's on this list. I'm a little bit surprised it's so low on this list, like so close to number 1. It's obviously anti-slavery, but because it hasn't aged as well as some other books, and by a white author, you know. Great Expectation is number 29. That was on the other list, and this is the one that I like kind of sort of have read, but we're gonna say I didn't read it. Wow, Blood Meridian is on this list. It was on the critics list as well, but it's, I think, a lot further down at number 28. Number 27 is Bleak House by Charles Dickens. That was on the other list as well. Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. That was the Charlotte Bronte on the other list. I think I mentioned this the other video, but this is probably one of the only Brontes I'd be interested in reading, only because I read The Wide Cigarettes of Sea by Jean Rhys, which is kind of a prequel to this one. Crime and Punishment by Dostoevsky is number 25. That was on the other list. 24 is Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. This is the one that Aaron Facer really wanted to be on this list, so I'm glad for that. I'm not interested in either of those. Number 23 is Don Quixote by Miguel de Cervantes. I believe this was on the other list, but I think it was higher up. Number 22 is Slaughterhouse-Five. This is one that I definitely thought should be on this list, and I was really surprised it wasn't on the critics list. I've definitely read this book. I read it again, reread it this year, at the beginning of this year, and it is just as amazing as I remember it being. The Brothers Karamazov is at number 21. This is also by Dostoevsky. This was on the other list. Wow. Beloved, which was, I think, number 2 on the critics list, is only number 20 on this list. That is wrong. That is incorrect. And I think it just goes to show that, like, literary critics, literary people, writers, authors have read so much more widely and read so many more works by people of color that should have been on this list that were on the other list. And your average reader does not get fed those books. So this should be like a jumping off point for some booktubers who are a little bit more into the like essay style of booktube of videos to write about why there aren't as many people of color on this list, and to write about why, like, Beloved, which is definitely one of the greatest novels ever written, like really high up there, is all the way at number 20. Gravity's Rainbow by Thomas Pynchon. I can't remember if this was on the other list. I think it was, because this is Pynchon's really, really long work. I've only ever read The Crying of Lot 49, which I love, and I have a lot of other Pynchon books on my TBR. I don't think we have Gravity's Rainbow because it's so long. If I get through the other Pynchon books, I would be interested in reading this one at some point. That's number 19. Number 18 is East of Eden by John Steinbeck. Was there any John Steinbeck on the other list? I think Of Mice and Men was on the other list, but not East of Eden. People love East of Eden. It's not the Steinbeck that I'm particularly interested in. I really like John Steinbeck. I've read quite a few of his books, but it's very long and it's a family epic. Number 18 is Persuasion by Jane Austen. I believe it was on the other list. Definitely not going to read it. Number 16 is The Great Gatsby. That was on the other list. I have read it. I do love that book. I don't think it was this close to number 1 though. Number 15 is In Search of Lost Time by Marcel Proust. Now this is like the opposite of the Neapolitan Quartet, because I think all 7 of Proust's books were in the top 10 of the other list. This is at number 15, and I think it's only the first book. I don't know if Proust should be on this list, honestly. Wolf Hall by Hilary Mantel is coming in at number 14. I think it was about the same position on the critics list. Never gonna read it. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte was on the other list. Never gonna read it. Moby Dick by Herman Melville coming in at 12 was on the other list. This is on my TBR. I might read it one day. Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy coming in at number 11 was on the other list. Never gonna read it. Ulysses by James Joyce I think was number 3 on the other list. Here it's coming in at number 10. I won't say I won't ever read this, but probably won't. Number 9 is Catch-22. That was on the critics list, but it was not so close to the number 1 slot. Number 8 is 100 Years of Solitude. This was the other Gabriel Garcia Marquez that was on the other list, and it was way high up. It was like in the 80s or something, I think. So being at number 8 is vastly different. I haven't read Catch-22. I would consider reading that. I haven't read 100 Years of Solitude. I don't think that one's for me. Number 7 is 1984 by George Orwell. I do have a copy of this, and I will probably read it at some point. This was also on the critics list. Number 6 is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I'm vaguely interested in reading this one, and it was on the other list. To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee is number 5. Now we're getting to the last 5, the top 5. I read this one a long time ago. I think I read it in school, but I am going to put it on my read list. This is one that I would consider revisiting now that I'm older. Number 4 is The Grapes of Wrath. Was that the Steinbeck that was on there? Number 3 is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. Pride and Prejudice was on this list, but I don't think it was so high up. Wow, I just saw something. Number 2 is Middlemarch by George Eliot. That was number 1 on the critics list. Haven't read it, not interested in it. And number 1 is Lord of the Rings, which I assume means all 3 of the Lord of the Rings books, because J.R.R. Tolkien originally wrote them as one book and then they were divided. Well, that's got to satisfy the 2 Aarons, because they both said that this should be on the list, and I do agree that that should be on the list. I'm pretty blown away that a genre fiction book made number 1, even from just general readers of The Guardian. That's pretty crazy. But how far back do you have to go to get to A Person of Color? To number 8, which is Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And then back from there to number 20. So in the top 20, there are only 2 books by people of color, which is a little bit bananas. Let's see how many I actually read. Wow, I read the exact same amount off of this list. I would have thought I read a lot more off this list, but I read 19, which is the exact same amount that I read off the other list. I own way less. Only 8 of the books that are on the list are also on my TBR, and then there's about a 12 that I'm not really interested in, and about 5 that I am interested in, like actively very interested in, but are not on my TBR. Is this list better than the other list? Is this list more well-rounded? No on both counts. As much as I thought that the other list, that the critics and authors' top picks were not well-rounded, they were far, far more well-rounded than readers. And again, I think that tells more about what books are accessible to people and what books are marketed towards people, towards your average reader, than what the average reader's preferences are, right? I think it's fairly hard for an average reader to seek out works by authors that are different from themselves, by authors that are not classics but are translated works. I would love to see somebody talk more in depth, someone who can talk more in depth. I would love to see them talk more in depth on that. I think there's a little bit of recency bias with like A Little Life and even Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, even Piranesi, even The Stand by Stephen King, even Demon Copperhead. Like, I think there's a little bit of recency bias with those works on this list, which I didn't really feel on the other list, except for The Vegetarian. I did feel like that was recency bias. What did you think of this list? How many have you read off of it? Did you feel like this was a better list, a more well-rounded list than the critics and authors? Did you like that list better? Which list did you read more off of? Let me know in the comments below. I'd be really interested to hear what people thought of these. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!